Anxiety isn't invisible, it paints our world in shocking shades. From burning reds of panic to suffocating blues of isolation, every color tells a hidden story. In this video, we reveal what anxiety really looks like in colors, a vivid journey through emotion, psychology, and transformation. Chapter 1: The Palette of Pressure. Anxiety often feels like a storm that no one else can see. It doesn't always shout in words or explain itself in logic. Instead, it paints the world around us in colors that carry weight, urgency, and unease. Imagine waking up and the room feels tinted in red, not because the walls changed, but because your chest is tight, your thoughts are racing, and everything seems like an alarm. That is the palette of pressure, anxiety's way of coloring reality. Red is the first shade that often appears. It burns like a warning light, flashing in the mind even when there's no clear danger. Red is the color of panic, of sudden heartbeats, of the feeling that something terrible is about to happen. It's not just a color on a canvas, it's the body's way of saying, pay attention. Yet the cruel trick of anxiety is that it makes us pay attention to shadows, not truths. Then comes blue. Not the calm blue of the ocean, but the heavy blue of isolation. It's the shade that makes the room feel colder, the silence feel louder, and the self feel smaller. Blue is the color of withdrawal, of sitting in a crowded place and feeling utterly alone. Anxiety paints this shade when it convinces us that we are cut off, misunderstood, or invisible. Yellow flickers next, but not the cheerful yellow of sunlight. This yellow is jittery, restless, like a buzzing neon sign that never turns off. It's the color of hypervigilance, of scanning every detail, of waiting for something to go wrong. Anxiety uses yellow to keep us on edge, to make sure we never fully rest. It's exhausting, but it feels impossible to step away from the glow. And then there is gray. Gray seeps in quietly, covering everything with a dull film. It's the color of exhaustion, of drained energy, of the sense that nothing matters. Anxiety often ends here, after the reds, blues, and yellows have burned through the body. Gray is the aftermath, the silence after the storm, but it's not peace, it's numbness. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Anxiety's colors are part of that unconscious language. They rise up without permission, tinting our days, shaping our choices, and convincing us that this is simply how life is. But when we begin to notice them, when we say, this red is panic, this blue is isolation, we start to make the unconscious conscious. We begin to see anxiety not as fate, but as a palette we can understand. The palette of pressure is overwhelming, but it's also revealing. Each color tells us something about what we're carrying. Red shows the fear of danger, blue shows the ache of loneliness, yellow shows the strain of vigilance, and gray shows the weight of exhaustion. These shades are not random. They are signals. They are the body and mind trying to speak in a language we can feel, even if we can't always explain. As you watch this unfold, notice which colors resonate with you. Do you feel the burn of red more often, or the heaviness of blue? Do you live in the flicker of yellow, or the fog of gray? Recognizing these shades is the first step toward shifting them. Anxiety wants to stay hidden, but colors make it visible. And when something is visible, it can be faced. If this journey into the colors of anxiety speaks to you, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. By joining, you'll not only follow the rest of this exploration, but also support the creation of more content that turns invisible feelings into vivid stories. Subscribing is a small act, but it's a way of saying, I want to keep seeing the world in new colors. The palette of pressure is only the beginning. Anxiety doesn't stay still, it moves, it shifts, it bleeds from one shade into another, and that motion is where the next part of the journey begins. Chapter 2: The Spectrum in Motion. Anxiety is never still. It doesn't sit quietly in one corner of the mind, waiting to be noticed. Instead, it moves like liquid light, shifting from one shade to another, bleeding across the canvas of daily life. One moment it is sharp and fiery, the next it is dull and suffocating. This constant motion is what makes anxiety feel unpredictable, and it is why colors are the perfect way to describe it. Imagine standing in a room where the walls change color with every heartbeat. At first, the walls glow red, pulsing with urgency. You feel the heat rise in your chest, the sense that something is about to happen. But before you can name it, the red dissolves into violet, a strange mix of fear and mystery. The room feels unfamiliar, and you are left wondering if the danger has passed or if it has simply changed shape. This is how anxiety works. It shifts before you can catch it. It doesn't let you settle into one feeling, because the moment you think you understand it, it transforms. The colors bleed into one another, creating a spectrum that is unstable, alive, and relentless. Take green, for example. In its calmest form, green is balance, growth, renewal. But under the weight of anxiety, green trembles into something else. It becomes sickly, uneasy, the color of nausea and restlessness. It's the shade of waiting too long, of feeling trapped in anticipation. Anxiety takes what should be soothing and twists it into discomfort. Then there is violet, a color often associated with mystery and depth. In anxiety, violet becomes overwhelming, almost dizzying. It's the shade of overthinking, of spiraling thoughts that loop endlessly. Violet is the color of questions without answers, of nights spent awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering what you missed, what you forgot, what might go wrong. Gray, too, shifts in motion. In the previous chapter, gray was exhaustion, the aftermath of anxiety's storm. But here, gray becomes something else. A creeping fog that seeps into every corner. It doesn't just drain energy, it blurs reality. It makes decisions harder, conversations heavier, and even moments of joy feel muted. Anxiety uses gray to dull the edges of life, to make everything feel less vivid. The spectrum in motion is not just about colors changing, it's about the way they overlap. Red panic bleeds into blue isolation, creating a strange purple of fear mixed with loneliness. Yellow vigilance flickers into gray exhaustion, leaving behind a pale, washed-out tone that feels both restless and numb. Anxiety rarely arrives in pure colors. It arrives in mixtures, in unstable blends that make it harder to name what you're feeling. This instability is what makes anxiety so difficult to face. When it is red, you prepare for danger. When it is blue, you brace for solitude. When it is yellow, you stay alert. But when it shifts constantly, you are left chasing shadows. You never know which shade will appear next, and that unpredictability becomes part of the struggle. Yet, there is something important hidden in this motion. The very fact that anxiety shifts means it is not permanent. No color stays forever. Even the heaviest gray eventually fades, even the sharpest red eventually cools. Anxiety moves because it cannot hold one form indefinitely. And in that motion, there is a possibility of change. Think of a canvas where the colors drip and blend. At first, it looks chaotic, messy, impossible to control. But if you step back, you begin to see patterns. You notice how red always fades into violet, how yellow always flickers before gray. You start to recognize the rhythm of the spectrum. Anxiety may feel unpredictable, but it often follows its own strange choreography. Recognizing this rhythm is powerful. It means you can begin to anticipate the shifts, not with fear, but with awareness. You can say, this red will not last, it will bleed into something else. You can remind yourself, this gray fog is heavy, but it will eventually lift. The spectrum in motion is not just instability, it is also a reminder that feelings are temporary, that colors change, that anxiety is not forever. There is also beauty in the motion, though it may be hard to see at first. The way colors bleed into one another creates unexpected shades, tones that don't exist in isolation. These shades are complex, layered, and strangely human. They remind us that anxiety is not just a single emotion. It is a tapestry of many feelings woven together. And while that tapestry may feel overwhelming, it is also a sign of depth, of sensitivity, of the mind's ability to feel intensely. The spectrum in motion teaches us something about resilience. Just as colors shift, so do we. We adapt, we bend, we find ways to move through the changing hues. Anxiety may paint the walls in red, blue, yellow, or gray, but we keep walking, even as the colors change. And in that walking, in that persistence, we discover strength. So when anxiety shifts its palette, when the colors bleed and blur, remember that motion is part of the process. It is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of life. The spectrum may feel unstable, but it is also proof that nothing stays the same forever. And in that truth, there is hope. There is also beauty in the motion, though it may be hard to see at first. The way colors bleed into one another creates unexpected shades, tones that don't exist in isolation. These shades are complex, layered, and strangely human. They remind us that anxiety is not just a single emotion, it is a tapestry of many feelings woven together. And while that tapestry may feel overwhelming, it is also a sign of depth, of sensitivity, of the mind's ability to feel intensely. Chapter 3. The Horizon of Freedom. Freedom from anxiety does not arrive as a sudden silence. It comes gradually, like dawn breaking after a long night. The colors that once felt overwhelming begin to soften, shifting from harsh tones into gentler shades. Red panic cools into coral, blue isolation opens into sky, yellow vigilance warms into sunlight, and gray exhaustion fades into silver calm. The horizon of freedom is not the erasure of color, it is the integration of it. Imagine walking across a field at dawn. Behind you, the storm of shifting hues dissolves into mist. Ahead, the sky is painted in soft gradients, each color blending into the next without conflict. This is the moment when anxiety's palette transforms. The colors are still present, but they no longer dominate. They become part of a larger design, one that includes hope, resilience, and authenticity. Freedom begins with recognition. When you can name the colors of anxiety, you take away their power to confuse. Red is no longer just panic, it is energy waiting to be redirected. Blue is not only isolation, it is depth, a reminder of the need for connection. Yellow is not only vigilance, it is awareness, sharpened perception that can be used wisely. Gray is not only exhaustion, it is pause, a signal to rest. By reframing the palette, you begin to see anxiety not as an enemy, but as a teacher. This reframing changes the way you move through life. Instead of resisting every shade, you allow them to exist. You notice them, acknowledge them, and then let them pass. The colors become signals rather than prisons. They tell you when to slow down, when to reach out, when to breathe. They stop being overwhelming because they are no longer misunderstood. The horizon of freedom is not about perfection. Anxiety does not vanish completely, and its colors will return. But freedom means they no longer control the canvas. You hold the brush now. You decide how to blend them, how to soften them, how to weave them into the tapestry of your life. The palette becomes yours to shape. Think of a candle burning in a quiet room. At first, its flame flickers with red and yellow, restless and sharp. But as you watch, the light steadies, casting warm tones across the walls. The flame does not erase the darkness, it transforms it. In the same way, freedom does not erase anxiety, it transforms its colors into something meaningful. This transformation is deeply human. To feel anxiety is to feel alive, sensitive, aware of the world's weight. To integrate anxiety is to honor that sensitivity without letting it consume you. It is to say, these colors belong to me, but they do not define me. Freedom is not the absence of feeling, it is the presence of balance. The horizon of freedom is wide open and filled with possibility. It is the moment when you step beyond the cage of fear and realize the bars were made of shifting colors all along. It is the realization that those colors can be painted into something new. A tapestry of resilience, a sunrise of hope, a canvas of authenticity. As you walk toward this horizon, notice how the colors change. Notice how they soften, how they blend, how they become part of a larger picture. Anxiety may still whisper, but its voice is quieter now. Its palette is no longer overwhelming. It is integrated. And in that integration, you find freedom.